Welcome to Whispering Cabins, where we share cozy horror tales of ghosts, folklore, and forgotten places. So grab a blanket, light a candle, and settle in. The night is waiting. Tonight, we tell the story of the library after hours. Bridget had always thought the town library was the safest place in the world. Its old brick walls and high arched windows were her refuge, especially during high school when she'd slip inside to escape arguments at home. Books were orderly in ways people never seemed to be. So when Mrs. Hawthorne, the elderly head librarian, asked her to take on a new part-time job at the front desk, Bridget didn't hesitate. The hours were odd. She was expected to cover from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. But the pay was good, and Mrs. Hawthorne had winked when Bridget asked why so late. "You'll see," the woman said, pushing a brass key across the desk. "It's quieter then." The first night, Bridget arrived to find the library empty, as expected. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The rows of books sat perfectly still. She made herself tea from the staff room and sat up at the desk with a paperback. But at midnight, the heavy oak doors creaked open. A man shuffled in, his coat frayed, his hair wet from rain. Bridget froze. She hadn't heard a key in the lock. "Hello?" she said cautiously. The man tipped his head without looking at her and headed straight to the history shelves. Something about him seemed hazy, as though the air shimmered faintly around him. When he walked past the overhead lights, they dimmed. He pulled a thick, leather-bound book from the shelf and brought it to the desk. His fingers left no smudges on the cover. "Do you have a library card?" Bridget asked, trying to sound professional. He gave her a look, sad, resigned, and opened the book to the title page. Written there in faded ink was his name. Beneath it, in spidery handwriting, was the story of a man who drowned in the quarry in 1912. Bridget's heart skipped. When she looked up, the man was gone. The book remained. By the third night, Bridget realized Mrs. Hawthorne hadn't been joking. The library opened itself after midnight, not for the living townsfolk, but for the dead. They drifted in quietly, one by one, choosing books that told their unfinished stories. Some lingered at tables, whispering to themselves as though practicing words they never got to say. Others carried their chosen books to the desk, letting Bridget hold them briefly before they vanished, book in hand, into some place she couldn't see. They weren't frightening. If anything, they seemed grateful. Yet there was always a hush in the air, a chill that raised goosebumps along her arms. Bridget told herself she could handle it. Ghosts checking out books was strange, but not dangerous. That was before she noticed her family name in the catalog. It was a quiet Tuesday night when she wandered back into the genealogical section. Her tea had gone cold, her nerves buzzing from too much silence. She ran her fingers along the spines until one title caught her breath. The Ashwood Family of Penhollow, Unfinished Lives. Her last name. The book was older than she expected, bound in cracked leather, the pages yellowed. She carried it carefully back to the desk. Inside, she found chapters devoted to her grandparents, her great-grandparents, cousins she'd never met. Most entries ended with neat, somber summaries, but then she found her mother's name. The page was blank. No birth date. No story. Just a single line written in ink that seemed fresher than the rest. Her story remains unfinished. Bridget's stomach twisted. Her mother was alive, just 3 streets over, constantly tired, constantly worried, but very much alive. Why would her name be here? And then, below that line, was her own name, Bridget Ashwood, also unfinished. That night, she couldn't stop checking the doors, expecting something, or someone, to arrive asking for the Ashwood book. At one point, she swore she saw a figure in the window glass, standing just behind her, though no one was there when she turned. When Mrs. Hawthorne came in at 3 a.m. to relieve her, Bridget pushed the book across the desk. "Why is this here?" Bridget asked, her voice shaking. The old woman's eyes softened. Every family has its volume. Not everyone wants to see theirs. "My mom's story. It isn't finished." "Why would it be here already?" Mrs. Hawthorne closed the book gently. "Because some endings wait in silence, Bridget, and some can be changed if you pay attention." Over the next week, Bridget worked every night, dreading and anticipating the moment someone might ask for her family's book. None did, but she noticed changes in her mother during the day. How pale she looked, how often she coughed. Bridget asked if she was okay, but her mother waved her off. The unfinished line pressed at her mind. Finally, Bridget brought the book home. She opened it at the kitchen table and read until the ink blurred her eyes. There was no clear prediction, no dates, only fragments, hints of choices that could lead toward shadows or away from them. Her mother came downstairs late, rubbing her temples. "Why are you up?" Bridget stared at her. "Mom, are you sick?" The silence stretched long. Her mother finally sat, hands trembling. "I didn't want to worry you. The doctor found something. They're still running tests." Bridget's throat tightened. "We'll go through it together." She placed her hand over her mother's. The book on the table seemed to hum faintly, as though acknowledging her words. The next night at the library, when the doors opened and the spirits shuffled in, Bridget kept the Ashwood book close. She half expected someone, some ghostly ancestor, to reach for it, but none did. Instead, when her shift ended, she noticed something new. On her mother's page, faint words had appeared beneath, "Her story remains unfinished. She has chosen to keep living." Bridget closed the book with tears in her eyes. Working the night desk never grew less strange. The dead still came, carrying their sorrows and hopes in fragile, crumbling books. But Bridget found comfort in it now. Each story was a reminder that life wasn't only about how it ended. It was about how much remained unwritten. And every morning, when she locked the library doors behind her, she carried that reminder home, determined to fill her own pages and her mother's with as many chapters as she could. Thank you for joining us tonight at Whispering Cabins, where we tell cozy horror tales. If you enjoyed The Library After Hours, be sure to subscribe for more eerie stories. Until next time, keep warm, keep the lantern lit, and listen closely. Sometimes the shadows have stories to tell.